Welcome back to Loving's Guitar. I like to talk about guitars. Hey, listen, if you haven't subscribed yet, that would be really awfully cool. Just consider it now. All right. If not, hit it the like. All right. This is a guitar channel, and today, well, it's really about the cable. Have you been laying cable? In the decades that I have experienced having the pleasure to be on stage with my cohorts, well, and as well as the equipment I'm bringing onto the stage, where there is included and should not be overlooked is the importance of having a reliable cable working alongside you. Because doesn't that make any sense? You know what's it's interesting because decades ago, I think this idea of high-end, high-quality, rugged dependability cables you can count on really meant something, because you really did pay an arm and a leg to get the good stuff, right? And what you expected to get was something that was going to be good, wasn't going to fail on you, because that's what cables are for: connecting, not for disconnecting or making your meaning to connect with others subject to failure. Which brings me then to the question, how important is it that within your whole chain of commands, from guitar to the speaker, everything, how important is those little cables that you've included in this whole business shenanigans you call your guitarist life, right? Well, as someone who has been, I've been playing guitar way over 50 years, over a half a decade here. And yes, I've gone through a lot of cables just like you, and I've laid some cable, and I still lay cable. But there are cables that have actually endured for decades. For me, how about that? Which then ponders the question nowadays, is like, when you're buying a high-end cable, are you going to get your money's worth? Because you're going to get your money's worth until the day it fails on you. And guess what? That day could happen at any day, at any moment, It could make everything suck for you because you weren't expecting that, because your old reliable cable is not working for you, right? Depends on how old it is and how reliable it is, because so you get these fancy cables. So let's just see. Let's see. Here, though, I want to point out some modern equivalents that actually haven't measured up for me. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you've had a good experience with this. Let's see. I'm not going to brand bash. I shouldn't brand bash. Oh, yes, I'm going to brand bash. All right, so let's start with this one. I don't know. I thought it was cute. It was definitely better than the garbage the nice offerings that are usually included in a cheap guitar box, and they give you a cheap cable. No, this is not one of those. But it is made by CableWorks, right? CableWorks. All right. The cable, it's called CableWorks until the cable doesn't work. All right, so it doesn't work. So I lost my money on that. And that's like 2 years old. All right. Oh, here's another one. Okay, how about this one? Here, this one's much better. Okay. TureTech Pro Noiseless Instrument Cable. Premium, look at that. Yeah, look at how beefy. It's like, I like that. It's like manly. It's got all the connector looks like it's so manly. It's got like hair on it. Wait a second. Okay. But the reason why it sucks? Okay, well, how can you play your guitar when your thing is doing this, huh? What's this? You know what? I pressed it back in, and I thought I fixed it. And it broke again. But so you know what? I'm gonna have to do what I used to do back in the days, in the '80s, and when you're a band, well, let's say if you actually you're communal. You're in a band. Everything you do is with your band. You move with the band. You do everything with the band. Or the whole band sleeps in one place, wherever that place is, or in the van, or someone's house. But any point is this: you're traveling with all your shenanigans always. You're traveling with your amps, your guitars, your extra girlfriends on the side. I don't know, things, but also the cables too, right? So eventually, you really need to depend on cables. And it's like, wow, you're not really taking it seriously until you take it serious. So this is the reason why now I've had these cables here. This is just a few. I have 4 more of these, but they're over 40 years old now. 40 years old. These cables are 40 years old, and I still depend on them. I can still wholeheartedly always walk out the door with a guitar, ready to go to any gig with this. It hasn't failed me ever. And I have 4 of them. This is this is so old. It's an Excalibur. I don't know if it reads here. I don't have my other. Anyway, it would have read there. It says Excalibur on it. This is an Ernie Ball. No. A whirlwind? It's not that. No, yeah. No. This one's a Proco music mover. That's right. I have, and this is another one too. That's right. So. My other ones are whirlwinds that still are working from the late 80s, early 90s. And this was another one that I think, wasn't this like a copy of the original? Or is this the first time they did this? Well, this particular one here is very interesting, whereas it has a sleeve over this post here. So it's actually noiseless. So it doesn't engage, the whole connector is not engaged to your guitar until the sleeve is pushed in. So if by chance, your guitar pops out, cable pops out, it doesn't hit the floor and go wow wow, or when you pick it up and you go like that, trying to make your way to the hole, you make all that crazy noises. The guitar is doing that, all of that. But you don't get that with these kind of cables. So these are live performance cables. It's intended for that reason, because when you're in the studio, this doesn't matter, or it could matter to the sound engineer, because if he's hearing you pop in and out, you're going in and out of a jack. He's gonna eventually say, "Hey, let me know when you're gonna do that, son." All right, because he's in the engineer room or behind the console, and you could screw things up. He's not expecting that. Respect the engineer and the console. Point is this. So these were an investment that was made once. 40 years ago. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. If you really cared about being on stage live and not screwing up the whole night with your performance of being disconnected from your guitar or your cable failing, when is it going to be appropriate for you to be responsible for every single piece of equipment you bring to make your guitar sing, with the amps running correctly and the pedal board perfectly set? Everything is ready to go, and you connect and what? Well, that's your responsibility. You never blame it on the bullshit cables you're going to get. That's your mistake. It's not the mistake of the cable. Actually, it's your mistake for picking the cable. I wanted to point out something. And I was right about this. I was so right about this because I'm thankful that I still have my cables from decades ago, which are outperforming many of the newer cables I've gotten in the last 3 or 4 years. Why is that? How is that? How did that happen? I mean, for all intents and purposes, these cables, and these cables, these are my. That's right. Here's the whirlwind. These are still going. How is that? Why is that? All right. I guess I have opinions, right? Or maybe maybe I'm a bit reactionary about this. You know, I mean, I think about it and I say, companies are taking advantage of us, knowing that, well, maybe we can make a chain smoker out of these guitar players. We can get them hooked on having to buy cables every 6 months. Don't make them last long anymore. Because you know what? Back in decades ago, things were made for endurance. Sure, it may be antiquated. Sure, it may not have kept up with modern times. But it operates just as it was intended to do at its time. And you can bring that time to the current, and guess what? That's how people are driving old Model Ts nowadays, or flying old vintage airplanes. Because they make what mattered then still matter now. But here's an interesting point, is that, say, the manufacturers of this and this, and this is just two, I have a few other companies too, like Procos too. The original Proco, Proco cable, the early vote, yeah, I still have them. And they're beefiest mother, yeah. And what's that one? I'm looking for cables. All right, so let's just talk about I have these two cables and why these so-called better or modern cables now are underperforming. Or maybe it could be that we are learning to play with more disconnectivity. Does that make any sense? Because if we're all going wireless, we are then wireless, okay? So we don't need any of this until we do. It has to go to an amp, but you need a receiver and all. That's another thing too. I went to a stage in my life when I went through a wireless guitar system, early wireless guitar system. I was not the right person to experiment with wireless guitar system. Because I was too wild and I played with a lot of movement, and I like to jump off stages too with my guitar. And we were all connected to a cable. Those are early punk days, So I was used to that kind of stuff, that kind of behavior. But you need a rugged guitar cable. You need one of these things or one of these things. You need a. You can't nowadays. What is this company called again? Tour Tech Pro noiseless instrument cable. It looks like it's the one where I feel like so strong, manly, and then all right. So what's the lesson here, folks? Well, I think it should be that you are a collection of what is important to you, and the reasons why you get the things you do, whatever it is that you're getting. And so if a connectivity is important to you, then get those pieces that require that connectivity part to do its function. And just you know what? That saying the offense is only strong is as strong as its weakest link. No, it's a chain. The chain is as strong as its weakest link. Applies to this rule. You know. Uh, that's all I got for today. And listen, if you guys wanted more, well, then you gotta come in a lot more often and see a lot more of these my episodes, because I don't know what's gonna happen. I just try to make the best of it all, because a lot of times I don't even know where this show's gonna go. But I do like doing. And here's another thing too. I think you can help me out on the next episode. And I think maybe I have to like spill out some other beans too. But as of right now, all I want to say is, hey, be nice to one another. All right? Drink water. Go for a walk. Play your guitar a whole lot more often. And be nice to each other. Did I say that? Yeah. No snobbery here. If you see another guitar player with a expensive guitar or a really, really cheap guitar, they're still guitarists. Or they want to be guitarists. And you can either be an asshole or you can be the person who nurtures them. So you could choose that. I chose a certain path for me, and I like guitar players. I like guitarists. And it really doesn't matter what level you are at. I think we are a special breed of people. We'd like to think of ourselves that way, at least. That we are sensitive individuals, because we all have that part of our lives that is similar to other guitarists, similar to us, that an immense amount of time is spent with something that you yourself are connected to. Like you're a guitarist, and you know how many hours and hours have accumulated behind that neck, or a neck, or those necks throughout your life. Just, how many, if that was all accumulated together, how much would that represent? Is it hours worth? Is it weeks worth of material? Is it a month, a year? Years worth of unstopped, no cuts, how much, if you were to compile it all, think about that. And that's time away from everyone else, Okay, not the band. Thank you for watching. It fills me with joy to spend some time with you. Be kind to each other. Screw the snobbery. See you the next time I get all choked up. And get better cables for yourself.